I'll be breaking down how I went about making the Kdenlive promotional video. Now, this is not a tutorial, but it will be a breakdown from start to finish of how I executed the promotional video. So let's get to it. Starting with, I've been wanting to somewhat highlight the capabilities of Kdenlive. I try to do it through the tutorials that I make and some of the VFX ones, which I think kind of highlight how you can do more than just edit clips on a timeline using Kdenlive. And so long story short, I thought of making a promotional video, something to highlight all of its capabilities in a quick, short, simple manner. Now, at first I was going to make a longer format video with voiceover showcasing a bit more of what it can do, and I might still make this video. But then I landed on making something short, snappy, attention grabbing, and that highlights some of the most prominent features or the ones that might have a bit more of a wow impact. So I'll share with you a couple of my notes that I wrote down when coming up with these ideas. This part is more of structuring, where I simply wanted to understand a bit of the mood, the flow that I was going for. Now, I looked at a couple industry standard video editors and to see how do you promote a video editor, basically. And then from there, I started looking for stock footage. While looking for the stock footage, I was also making a list of what are some of these features that I would like to showcase for Kdenlive. I'm trying to see what might catch people's eye, what might really call out attention. Which brings us to this next part. So over here, we have a presentation document inside of LibreOffice, and this is where I did the brain dumping. So I just put all of the ideas, I put the features that I would like to showcase, and the ones that are crossed out are the ones that did not make the cut. Mostly because they either didn't meet one of the three following criterias. So one is being able to display them in just a few seconds. Second, something that takes the workload off the user and sets it on the program. And finally, having a bit of a wow factor. Now, it's not to say that these don't meet any of these criterias, but the one that they often miss is the ability to showcase what it is in just a few seconds on screen. Next, I started working on a shot list. Now, this is not in order of execution. This allowed me to take the ideas out of my head and put them onto a medium where I could see them. So basically visualizing it. And so this was the first rough idea of the flow of the different features that I was going to showcase. Now, this document is incomplete. I didn't go through all of it, but this really just allowed me to put the rough idea and help me refine them a little bit just by being able to look at them and really think about how I would go about executing all of this. And now this brings us into making the video. It only took about a day or two. The biggest chunk being in ideation and planning, and then revision would be the second longest portion, looking at the flow of the video. So I would render it out, take a day or two, then go back, look at it, see if I could notice anything that was off, and then do some minor adjustments. And that was really where the next biggest chunk of time was spent. So it was in refinement. In here, we have the promotional scenes. And these are each one of the scenes that I screen captured using OBS. And each one of those holds one of those features that were being showcased in the promo video. So 04 over here is for the colors, so where we apply the LUT and use the curves. So each one of these is a different scene. And now we can jump inside of Kdenlive itself, where we have the timeline. So sequence number 1 is the main timeline that I worked on. This is where I put everything together. Now each one of these clips on the A row is actually a sequence. If I hold down Alt, I'm holding down Alt because when you have effects applied to a sequence, if you double tap on it or you double click, it's going to add a keyframe to that effect. But if you hold down Alt and you double click, it will simply open the sequence. So in here, this is simply the screen capture, which I recorded with OBS. I think I mentioned that already. And I accelerated for most of the parts just to keep things snappy. At the top here, we have the introduction. So I'll hold down Alt again, double click. And in here, we simply have the logo animation, which was done using Blender because it's a 3D rendition with a composite strip on it, or a composition strip. And if I move it down, the composition strip is set to alpha in, which means that it's showing what's underneath, but only inside of the logo, so only where the logo shows. You can see this is the 3D render that I did of the logo using Blender again. And then with the composition strip, we only see those 3 clips at the bottom here showing inside of it. Those 3 clips are from the promo video. And then we move over to the first title sequence, or the first title clip for nested timeline. Now, besides this title clip, all of the other title clips are on the main sequence, so sequence number 1. Let me drop the volume here. So they're all over here on the timeline. Now, most of them are made using either one of my transition presets and a regular transform, except for the color grading with LUTs. This one, I use the glitch preset that I made. So if I double click on it, it's a sequence as well. We have this over here with the glitch sequence. And I use a rotoscope to isolate the word LUT in tools. And then I apply the glitch transition just to that word. Now, the shape of the rotoscope looks like this because previously I had a different transition that I was using for this one. But then I opted for the glitch because although it doesn't necessarily say colors, it is more colorful than a simple motion of the words. Now, when it comes to sound design, down here on the timeline, let me see if I scale this up and open this. There we go. We have the soundtrack, and right underneath is the voice for the speech to text. And what I did is cut a piece of the soundtrack and I added transition so it fades from the original soundtrack over to this portion where I added a tap equalizer and I lowered a few frequencies in order to let the voice through a bit more, and then it fades back into the original soundtrack. And then on the voice itself, I added a couple effects. So from the compressor to the noise reduction for voice and a plate reverb, which is what gives it that echo effect, which I use basically for the sound design of the voice and that transition. So going from the person speaking back into the normal beat. And this is basically the formula. It was screen capture, accelerate things, isolate just the parts that we want to keep, and then create a sequence out of it, place it on the timeline, the main timeline. And then we have the outro all the way at the end. And the outro is simply made up of the logo animation, again, showing from, well, a transparent background over to one of these backdrops that I made using GIMP. The backgrounds or the backdrops were made using GIMP. If we go over to the project bin over here, and they are inside of images, backgrounds, and we have these different backgrounds here. I made several colors, so 3 colors here, and a couple solids that were used in the project as well. So under every title clip, we have one of these solid backdrops. For this title clip over here, I think I added an RGB shift, which is what gives it this little chromatic aberration, I think it's called. Now, once everything was ready on the main sequence, so sequence number 1, I shipped everything over to sequence render. And this is where I did the final touches on what was going to be exported. So this is simply sequence number 1. And then I added some cuts and I added an alpha shape, a Gaussian blur, and a mask apply. And the alpha shape is set to subtract, which means anything that the alpha shape selects is going to be excluded from the Gaussian blur. And that's how I was able to add those blurry corners, a sort of blurry vignette effect. So if I turn off the mask apply, everything excluded, so outside of this dot here in the middle, which is actually a background in the back here, one of those solids, everything in here is going to be clear and everything outside is going to be blurry. Now, everything might look blurry right now simply because I'm previewing this at a very low resolution, just so we don't get any stutter. But if I up it, you can see we have some blur up here, but not down here. And that's really how I went about it. But then I contacted the Kdenlive team and asked them if there was anything they wanted to see in this video or removed or so. And they suggested, or one of them suggested, the Open Timeline Import Export, so the ITIO. And so to add the ITIO, I created a new render, so render alt, where I then created the Open Timeline IO, which was also done inside of Kdenlive. Now the assets, so the logos and the mouse cursor and all that stuff was done inside of Inkscape. So this whole production is open source. I'm actually running Linux Mint on my computer, Linux Mint Cinnamon. And here we have the graphical assets inside of graphics. And if I double click on Open Timeline IO, you can see how everything is in here. So you have the files, you have the mouse cursor, the icons for each one of these software, the motion blur, everything was done inside of Kdenlive. And so I was able to make a cut out of the render sequence, insert this here, use one of my presets to transition out of this last shot because it was a different ending before adding this part. And then transitioning over to the open timeline IO, and then we have the outro here again. So a very straightforward process, didn't take that long to make. And then finally, it was time to render. And now for rendering, I use one of my render presets that it's a custom preset, but I didn't invent it or anything, but it's the ProRes 422. I also have a couple other ProRes, but I went with the 422 for this one. And just to put it into perspective, this project is 1 minute and 30 seconds. And rendering with the ProRes 422 gave a 4.6 gigabyte file because ProRes is actually lossless in intra-frame. And it only came out to 4.6 gigabytes because I added quite a bit of compression. So I really slowed down the render so it wouldn't come out bigger. Now, these render profiles are actually available inside of Kdenlive if you go to the rendering, or rather you can download them for Kdenlive. If you go inside of the rendering window and you click on the download button here. Now, it takes a bit of work to find them. I don't know why, but if you go to the sort downloads, sort by release date, it should be this one over here. So the ProRes, it's going to give you 444, 422, LT, and LT 8-bit. So after rendering it as a ProRes, I then imported that ProRes version, so an MOV file, and I created other custom render profiles using YouTube's recommendations. Now, I really wish I had gone with the VP9 when I did the render because YouTube still compressed the MP4 version that I did following their guideline, hoping it wouldn't get too much of a compression, because I can tell there's a difference between what I have on my machine and what YouTube did to it. But yeah, so these are custom profiles. I'm thinking of adding them to the available downloadable presets for render. So I'll do that at some point. And yeah, so I use that. And the video itself is 1080p. And then I upscaled it inside of Kdenlive. And I added an HQD and 3D. I lowered the spatial down to 0.04, I think. And the temporal, no, 0.02. And then the temporal to 0.01. Just to denoise it a little bit because it was sharp enough. Right, speaking of effects, almost forgot. If we go back here, these are all of the effects that I added to the main timeline. So the main screen capture, if you will. So we have quite a few in here, and that is because this is 1080p and I zoomed in quite a lot, so I needed to sharpen things very much and clean it up at the same time. And we have the drop shadow all the way at the end because using the shear and a transform, I was able to kind of move them somewhat in a 3D space. But a better effect, if you want to get a 3D motion type of feel, would be the 3-way rotate. So if I write 3-way, this effect up here. I didn't use it because, well, for one, I only found it midway through the edit. And the shear was actually a lot lighter because I did some test renders before. But regardless, I went with the shear and a transform. So if I click on this clip here, we have the shear and a transform. And that's basically the formula that I applied for most of these, or all of them actually. The spot remover is just for aesthetics. And then over here, this clip at the top here is an actual render of the runner because having to zoom in so much on the project monitor it blurred out the image a bit and sharpening it wasn't really cutting it. So I added it in here manually and I matched the shear and the transform of it to match the user interface zooming in. And for the track itself, I just did a D-band because the blue sky had some banding and a contrast adaptive sharpen to keep it crisp. Now there's a Ko-fi link down in the description if you'd like to support the channel. If you want to learn more about Kdenlive, you can click on this playlist here, and thanks for watching.